Hello and welcome to the third, which is actually the fourth episode of Busy Plugin Developers series. So today we have Anna and Jakub with us, and we have two big areas we want to cover today. So first, Anna will introduce some news about Marketplace and some changes which happened there recently. And then the big chunk of this webinar will be about building custom UI themes for IntelliJ-based IDEs, which Jakub will delve in. And I will be in the background all the webinar to take your answers and do some moderation. So if you have any questions or any comments about anything really plugin development related, please feel free to ask in our chat. We will try to cover all the questions as we go. Remaining questions maybe at the end. And of course, we also have our communities on Slack and on the forum, where we will try to help you anytime after the webinar as well. All right. So much for the introduction. Please, Anna, let's get started with Marketplace news.
Thank you. Before we start with the main topic of our webinar, I will quickly introduce you the most prominent updates we've had this fall on the Marketplace. So as you might know, we are actively working on making Marketplace a better platform for developers. And this includes not only tooling updates and new articles in documentation, but also improving the overall user experience. So the three main changes I wanted to introduce are listed here in the slide. It's Analytics tab for plugin developers, the redesign of IntelliJ Platform Explorer, and ability to add custom contacts on the plugin page. So let's dive into the detail. And first update is Analytics tab. We publicly released it today, and in addition to download statistics and sales reports for paid plugin developers, we added some basic web analytics to help you evaluate how your plugin page works. Some of our vendors should be already familiar with this Analytics tab because we released it on a portion of our users some time ago, and we also collected some feedback, and now we released it publicly. So let me quickly demonstrate how it works. I'll share my another tab. So here it is. Hope you see it. Please note that the statistics is not like a real one. It's a sample information just to showcase the improvements. So here you can see a dashboard with some nice graphs, and for example, you can see some totals and hover on to some columns and see the trend of downloads and sales this month. But also you can see some web analytics, as I have already mentioned. So namely plugin page visitors, and also two new graphs, countries and referrals. In the plugin page visitors, you will see the numbers. So as I told, it's sample statistics. We don't have numbers here. And you can see the trend for different periods. For example, daily trend for the past month or monthly trend for the past year. Also, you can see countries your users are coming from, and sites referring to you, and sources referring to your plugin page. For example, here you can see that the major share of plugin page visitors are coming from China. So you may consider adding some custom page for Chinese speakers. So translate your plugin page into Chinese. And also here, you can, for example, if you use guest blogging in your marketing strategy, you can find out which blogs bring the most traffic to your page, or which sources like email marketing or just direct traffic brings users. So yeah, that's it about analytics tab. You can explore it yourself. And the second change I wanted to talk about is IntelliJ Platform Explorer. If you are developing plugins for IntelliJ Platform, you might be familiar with this tool. It's a search tool that helps you find existing feature implementations among open source IntelliJ plugins. So let me share another tab. So here you can see the new interface of the search tool. It became more user-friendly. And let me provide an example for you. For example, you want to implement some language support. So you need to create new file type. So you can just type it in, like file type. So here it is. And you see this small green icon. This means that this extension point works with plugin recommendations. So, for example, if a user tries to open a file type that is not supported by the running IDE, an IDE will understand it and check if this file type has some plugin that supports it and show you a pop-up window recommending this plugin. So yeah, going back to this search tool, here you can see all the open source plugins where this extension point is implemented, but you also can apply some other filters like language. For example, you want to find a plugin written in Kotlin, or else you can choose some build system. And here you can just explore and navigate to different windows and see how these extension points are implemented. Yeah, and the last but not the least feature, it's a small one, but for me, I think it's really bringing some new experience to plugin developers and plugin users. So now in the context and resources tab, you can add your custom contact. For example, here we see the admin page of Scala plugin. And here we can just add some custom contact. We have some predefined fields here, for example, blog. So as I see, they just inserted the link to their blog in documentation URL because we didn't provide it previously. So we can change this. Let's provide URL to blog. Okay, and then click save. Oh, sorry. No, just add field, save. So here it is, and we can actually look how it looks to users. Let's click preview. So here on the plugin page at the bottom, we see a new link leading us to a blog. Let's check. Yeah, that's right. But you can also add some other links, not only the predefined ones. So here, let's go back here and let's add custom contact. So you can type in your link title. For example, you want to lead to some feature page on your plugin site. Let's type feature and add some URL and add field. So it will work like that, but I'll remove it for Scala. They don't need it. Okay, that's it from my side. It was a quick introduction. Don't want to waste your time because you're waiting for an intriguing topic of building teams for IntelliJ Platform IDEs. So over to you, Jakub.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. And here it is. Okay, I don't have today actually any presentation, so this is a cover image of the blog post I've written for the Halloween. Yeah, and we'll dive into the actual development today, showing how to create theme plugin for IntelliJ-based IDEs. So let's close this one. Themes in IntelliJ-based IDEs which are IntelliJ IDEA, PHP Storm, WebStorm, Rider, anything, almost even Android Studio provided by Google. All of them support themes. So themes are well known to everyone because this is kind of extension to the IDE which lets you changing the colors of your IDE. So some of us like light theme, the others like dark themes. Folks with some problems with sight probably prefer more bright, vivid colors. So every of us picks the proper theme that they feel the best with us. And sometimes we feel that it's not enough, and we decide to create our own theme for own purposes, for anyone else, or just to sell it on the marketplace. So in the marketplace, JetBrains Marketplace, we have a dedicated themes category where you can see, browse through all of the themes. To be honest, I don't exactly know how many of them do we have, but yeah, this is a very long list. We can also search through keyword, paid, free plugins. As for now, we have 2 paid plugins, but I hope we'll have more in the future. Yeah, and how to create themes. Themes are basically plugins with limited functionality, so they don't have to implement any extension points to the browser. Just they can provide static files like XML file, JSON file with definitions of colors of text, code coloring, any change that is reflected later in the actual IDE. But themes also can be defined as regular plugins, so they still, next to the static files, can provide some extra functionality like extra actions, some settings, so customized preferences. So you can, for example, as a plugin author, theme author, you can provide some kind of sliders that IDE can go darker, lighter, or change the opacity of the IDE, because I've seen such experiments as well. And yeah, so having that in mind, we'll start with the plugin template available on GitHub to just speed up the setup process and just go into the actual theme creating. So here at JetBrains /IntelliJ Platform Plugin Template, we have this GitHub repository, which is public template type. And yeah, there is also a very long README where we try to summarize what is actually going on here. But this is something you can read later on your own. And we'll start with this use this template green button, which is in dark theme very visible here. Basically, we're not forking repository, but we're creating a new project based on this template. And what does that mean? Let's create some name, very original one, my theme. And right now GitHub is creating a new repository based on this theme. As you can see, it's generated from plugin template. And we have completely no history here. There is just single commit, initial commit, with the whole content provided by the template. Also README. But to fix that, currently there is, yeah, it's already done. There was a template cleanup workflow triggered right after creating new plugin, which cleaned up the whole theme replacing the README with the proper content. There is also a to-do list that will help you fulfilling all these, let's say, steps, like getting known with some legal agreements, setting plugin ID in the code, etc., etc. So right now it's ready to use, and we can get this Git URL, or basically not. Let's switch to the IntelliJ IDE and get it from VCS, GitHub. Yeah, and there is my team. Okay. So now it's obviously indexing. Setting up the Gradle project. It shouldn't take too long, I hope. All right, Java 11, and this is really important to use Java 11 because since 2020.3, IntelliJ IDE has migrated to Java 11, and we're using that both for SDK and grading IntelliJ plugins. So even in the runtime. So if you face any kind of issues related to Java platform version, whatever, this is the first thing you should check. So yeah, there's our plugin loaded, and actually we can right now call the run plugin action, which will compile our code and run the IDE from the IDE. And as you can see, our plugin is already installed. So yeah, just a few minutes and we have up and running plugin that does nothing. So let's go with the actual creating the theme. Yeah, we have quite long project structure here. No worries, everything is described in the plugin template README. So if you wonder what's going on, just go there and check the README. And we'll go with diving into the plugin XML file. And I don't need this one, or this one. We have some example implementations, which we don't need right now. And let's keep just the extensions. So, since we're going to create a theme, let's provide the theme provider. ID, this is supposed to be unique, so we can use our plugin ID. I doubt anyone will use the same, except us. And path, we have to set path to the JSON theme file, which would be theme my theme.theme, and that's important, .json. Let's create it. In resources. Right. Yes, up to Git. And here it is. So here you can see that IDE already figured out that we're going to create IntelliJ theme, and we can start typing our definitions. There is already one warning, which is missing required properties: author, dark, name, UI. So let's provide them. Author, dark. Yes, let's use dark. Name, my theme, and UI. UI is an object that yeah, I pressed Control Space, so we have this auto suggestion. And here we have a full list of keys that we can use to modify the UI. For the presentation purposes, I will focus on the most popular element, probably, which is button. So Control Space, yep. Button background. Here we can set some color, which is hex based, or we can define colors here in a map. Let's use red one. With hash, right? Right. On the left side, on the footer, we have this red icon right now. So let's not make it that red. It's something a bit darker. And here we can use that predefined color here. Okay, let's check it, how it goes. And we have to open some example project. Okay, something, yeah, because by default it's not enabled. So let's call search everywhere, shift, and find for team. And yeah, on the bottom there is my team. It's here, and we can see that our buttons right now have the reddish background color. Okay, that's fine enough. We can still introduce something more exciting. Let's try with background. So anchor, let's put it on the right bottom right. What else? Fill, plane, don't scale it, transparency 50, and we have to provide a path to the image. So still from resource, looking from resources, images, background, PNG. Okay, so where did I put it? Background, yes, here. Oh, hold on, doing my team. SRC, main resources, images. Okay, it's not created yet, so okay, it's here. So right now, when we restart the project, run the IDE, you should see the background. Red one, so team is applied. And there is something. Let's open project. It's in specific manual file, and yeah, here it is. We have the full background in the background, background image, and yeah, that's it. We can in general play with transparency, filling, etc., etc. So everything is up to you. We've seen a lot of background changer plugins in the marketplace, so don't think about creating anything else like that, because yeah, I bet folks exhausted this topic already. So yeah, what else? Right now, okay, because sometimes we would like to create more and more styles. We would like to apply more and more styles for button, like arc. This is button corner radius. So I pressed command button and hovered this key, and we got some documentation. So I could put here something like 30. Instead of that, we can create button and yeah, move them here. And yeah, after rebooting the IDE, everything will be still in place and our buttons will be much rounded. How should we actually find out which key does what and what can we change in the project? Let me just open the preferences. Yeah, and buttons are very round right now. We have a couple of tools provided with the DevKit plugin and IDE. The first one is, in my opinion, a very exciting one, called UI Inspector. So let's shift and type UI Inspector, and we have to enable it because it's off by default. And right now, by pressing Control Command click right, a new window will appear presenting details about the clicked element. So yeah, I clicked this tab, and here in this tree it's right now highlighted, and we can go up and down the tree. Here on the right side in the UI element details, we have all the information about some icon provided for this element, any other any UI implementation class. So if we're interested in how it's working, how someone has done that, we can go into the UI inspector, check the class name, and go to the source code. For example, if it's simple colored component, for sure it's a part of IntelliJ community, where we can dive in and check how it's used and how to use it in our plugin. Here we have also all the colors that we can modify. So it's kind of tricky, let's say, to figure out how the keys are named, how they're called. But looking at the other plugins, the other themes, and looking through this UI inspector and the other tools, finally we'll figure out how it's called and how we can use some change here, how we can make some change here. The other tool that is also very helpful is look and feel defaults. So again, shift, run anything, LIF, oh no, not this one, I'm sorry, LIF defaults. It's again located in Tools Internal Actions UI, so you can also manually navigate there and check what else is provided here. So here, yet another pop-up that provides all the default, by default I mean the actual values, also currently modified by the other teams, I mean the team you use, and all the stuff that is related with our UI. We can filter out just the colors, find a button, and yeah, the great thing about this tool is that you can modify the value. I need to find the right key. Okay. Oh my, I lost it. Button. Focus border color, yes. So let's say use red, and here it is applied live. So we can, with this look and feel defaults editor, check what's going on in the current IDE, check how it will look at the end, and then use this name and apply in our JSON file. This tool can also be run from the IDE that will run with our plugin, right? So we can go to this Java, to this child IDE with our plugin enabled. Love defaults, and here we can see our button background, so we can check how it will look with green color. And if it's better, we can just copy paste the value and store in our JSON file as said. Okay, yet another feature of teams, I mean the raw teams, is the possibility for providing color highlighting, different color highlighting. So the editor scheme. Here we can pass the path to the XML file because editor schemes are handled with XML. And yeah, there is no quick action for that, so create it manually. Let's create it manually. New file, my team XML. And yeah, what's next? Unfortunately, this is plain XML file, and we have no suggestions here enabled. That would be even hard. But the solution for that is going to this relevant section in editor, color scheme, and here we have some language dedicated schemes, which we can actually export to the file. Okay, so let's call it Dracula ECLS. This is plain text, no worries. Yeah, replace it, I had one already. So let's open it in the IDE. And we can copy and paste this content into our XML file. And this meta info is redundant right now. So these are values applied by that was console font, by the console font section. We can also check the others, which are more extended and yeah, more verbose. But this is fine for the this example. So yeah, let's create yet another option here. Name, text, right value. We can use the short syntax here. Value, and let's make it red. Full red, so we'll simply notice this change. Okay, let's dive into preferences, editor, color scheme. Okay, I forgot about something. Probably. Yeah. All right. And let's keep Darkula as a parent scheme. All right, so I still need to go to preferences, editor. Okay, so I'm not sure what I've missed right now. Yeah, that's live coding. Okay. Okay, this one works here. Yeah. Okay, still something is not okay-ish. Yeah, that's it. Glitches everywhere. Okay, at least we have this on the list. Team. Right, let's maybe use the long version here. Text, right, text. Wanted to do it too fast, so here are the consequences. As you see, now it's applied, and some of the keywords are red. So that means these keywords currently use the default text color. So they don't have anything specified in the language schemes. So probably language implementation or themeProvider or anything else isn't able or doesn't care about setting different colors for public and is set in this case. I bet there are more and more cases for that, like that, but right now we are not able to, let's say, change them, or we can. To answer that question, we can use the PSI Viewer plugin, which isn't available by default, but it can be installed very quickly. And yeah, it's here already. So this is an extension, a plugin that is presenting in a tree on the right side in tool window the structure of the currently browsed file. So here, okay, yeah, so it's treated essentially as a PSI file, not handled by any language, because we don't have PHP plugin installed right now. We're running the IntelliJ community. So these colors are provided only with this definition that we've set. So we can even remove that, and the whole content, whole file should be red. Or not. Yeah, this is because, okay, still it's inheriting some defaults from Java, I bet, so okay, it's colored. My bad. But yeah, we would like to, okay, we have to again install the PSI file, PSI viewer here. This is quick enough. We'd like to have the PHP plugin enabled to actually extend its functionality of syntax highlighting. For example, because someone from the community has asked for that. So to do that, we'll need to go with extra dependencies, and for the build Gradle, settings for the platform plugins, we need to provide the PHP plugin ID. So let's go to the Gradle properties, platform plugins, and that would be right. That would be plugins JetBrains.com. Let's search for PHP. JetBrains PHP. And since it's not bundled plugin, we need to specify. Right, there was this example. We have to also provide some version, which matches the platform version that we use. So if we're using the 2020.3.4, it's supposed to be 203 because of this 203. So the latest available in the marketplace. So here on the left side, I'm not sure. Okay, let's go into the incognito mode. Yeah. Here we have a list of the versions and range that this plugin is actually supporting. So if it's 203, we need to scroll down to 2020.3. Down, and it was somewhere here. Or not yet, but finally we'll find it. Right. Mm-hmm, 2020. So we could take this version and use here after the column. Right now, after refreshing Gradle, we'll get all the sources of, we'll get this plugin into our class path. And in the plugin XML file, we also need to specify a dependency to this plugin. It can be optional or not, but you can read about that in our documentation. Because what, why, how dependencies work. Okay, it's not compatible. Something has changed in the meantime. So let's use that one. Okay, it's indexed in library and it's here. Okay, to extend some existing theme, like the one provided by IntelliJ IDEA or anything that we depend on, we have to provide an annotator, which is related to some specific language, PHP in this case. Okay, it's red. Again, I like red. And some implementation class. So we don't have to worry about this. Red, this is just for, this comes from devkit and probably we don't have PHP installed here. So that's why it didn't find the correct reference, but no worries. Implementation, so my theme annotator. Let's create it in the Kotlin GitHub HSZ directory, Kotlin class, and yeah, here it is. Thank you. And here is the warning that it's not assignable to annotator class because we didn't extend it. Here it comes. Deployment members, annotate. Okay. And here comes yet another problem, because it will not work right now, because we try to load PHP plugin which isn't available for the IntelliJ community. So in logs we can do something about PHP. Yeah. Our plugin requires plugin to be installed, blah blah blah. But it's not here. So to support PHP, we're supposed to mark this dependency as optional and move Annotator to an external XML file. So just in case someone doesn't have PHP plugin installed, this feature, this Annotator, wouldn't be enabled. But right now we want to have it no matter what, and we'll see. We'll switch to IntelliJ Ultimate. Hold on. Yeah. So not that much of red color anymore, because the PHP plugin has already overwritten some of the keywords, so they're orange right now. And yeah, let's check the PSI plugin, PSI viewer. PHP runtime is indexing because it's just installed, so yeah. Okay, it will take a while still, so to don't waste the time, let's go back to our annotator. In general, our annotator goes through all the PSI element, the whole tree. Okay, it's here. The whole tree of the file. So right now PHP plugin is installed and it's correctly recognized the PHP file. And here is the full class, some elements, abstract, class, identifier, blah 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 blah. So each of these leaf has its name, keyword. So this is the white space. Yeah, parent, the whole stuff, right? And each one can be referenced from the scheme editor. I mean, yeah, language scheme. But when it is actually implemented by this specific plugin. So if plugin is supporting some kind of language, it can split the whole structure into smaller pieces and mark some pieces with keywords, and these keywords are later available in our XML file, like this text, or I don't know, braces or return keyword or anything. And this language support plugin can provide some base theme to color somehow syntax, and we as theme authors can override these values. But in case some of the values are not available, like some keywords are not available, we can try to cover this default syntax highlighting with annotators, and override in other way this syntax highlighting. So basically here we are trying to check if this element is actually the leaf of the tree, because we're not interested in covering the whole blocks of content, but some leaves, the smaller pieces of the code. So let's check if our element is a leaf PSI element. If so, we can do some magic. And for the purpose of this example, just limit the scope to the return element. So right now in this scope, hold on, where are you? We'll grab this PSI element. So this one, which is in fact, I need to extend it to leaf PSI element. So the class, with matching this specific class, you can match something in the tree. And here we also have this holder. And let's create a new silent annotation. So something that will not be reported as an error, just provide some UI changes to the tree. And severity information, so we're not going to warn user with anything. The next one is silent. What else? We need to limit the range. So here we'll create range based on this element content. Next range, start offset. And offset. Then we'll need to provide some text attribute that will modify the colors, the style of text. And then just create it. So text attributes. So that was, let me just quickly, text attributes key, create, and here we can create some PHP return name. And after we'll run our plugin, nothing in fact will change on the UI side, because this text attribute doesn't have any color so far. We can provide some default attributes for that, but right now we're interested in, let's say, providing this keyword PHP return and using that here. So let's use green color for that and run the plugin. Hopefully. So right now return still is some kind of keyword, but okay, let's behavior. Just grab it again. I need to find out some method for keeping this plugin constantly installed. Indexing. Just hold on. So this is still the PHP type provided by the PHP plugin, but we have somehow overwritten, created a new key for this part of the PSI tree, and we can, with our theme plugin, implement, provide some new styles for this part. All right. To wrap it up, I would like also to guide you how to find out how to do things for themes or even plugins. As Anna mentioned before, we have the IntelliJ Platform Explorer tool available, which is here, right? And as we have extended the themeProvider extension point, you can still, in this IntelliJ Platform Explorer, so here is the link, it should be provided in the description as well, so you can find for themeProvider and actually check how the others have implemented their open source themes. So we can check the just another dark theme. Okay, it's some weird repository. I'll just find the one from hosted on GitHub. And here in SRC main resources, we can find also some other theme JSON and XML files that we can use as kind of inspiration. The same about annotators. So here, just search for the annotator. It will print out the IntelliJ Annotator plugins. Plugins that implement Annotator extension point, even Kotlin. And you can also check for some more advanced methods for sniffing around the PSI files and extracting some more interesting things than just checking if leaf contains return keyword. Yeah, that would be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jakub, for this very extensive and deep dive into theme developing. I see currently no more questions in the chat. So yeah, to wrap it up, I think we showcased today that we have a lot of tooling available inside the IDE. There's extensive documentation for all these things that Jakub highlighted today in his live demonstration in the SDK docs available. So there's a huge walkthrough and also reference pages about how the customization keys, for example, are named, what kind of systematic is behind all of this. And you can also look up again how to enable all the tools like the UI inspector in the SDK docs. It's all explained under the internal development tools. So yeah, thanks again to Anna and Jakub for covering these topics today. This is our last webinar in this series for this year. So we all hope that the series has been valuable to you as plugin developers and maybe people who want to get into plugin development in the future. We would like to thank everybody who encouraged us to run these webinars, who sent some questions and suggestions about these webinar topics. And let's keep in touch on Slack, on the forum, and see you again next year with episode number 5. That's all for today. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.